Hey guys, this is Miss Orbase. Today you're going to learn how to do Module 1.1 from your Go Math book, Place Value and Patterns. Okay, the essential question is, how can you describe the relationship between two place value positions? Well, we're going to use the base 10 blocks. The large cube is your thousands, your flat is your 100, your long is your 10, and your small little cube is your 1. And you guys have been seeing these since y'all were probably in kindergarten, so y'all should know what these are called. These are very common to use in math class. Okay, so here we're going to be comparing these, um, filling out these comparisons using these blocks. Okay, it says look at the long, here's the long, and compare it to the small cube. So we're looking at the long and we're comparing it to the small cube. Okay, so this long is 10 times as much as a small cube. Okay, so this long is 10 times that cube. Okay, because it's bigger than that one. It's 10 times bigger than that, so it's 10 times as much as the small cube. Now look at the flat and compare it also. The flat is 10 times as much as the long because 100 is 10 times the 10. So 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, look at the large cube and compare it to the flat. Okay, so this large cube is also 10 times as much as the flat. Okay, and if you multiply 100 times 10, you would get 1,000. Okay, and that large cube does have 1,000 of these little small cubes. Okay, if you notice that every time they're called base 10 blocks, because every time you go, you're multiplying it times 10, times 10, and times 10. Okay, the next section says, look at the flat and compare it to the large cube. Now we're looking at the flat and comparing it to this side. Okay, the flat is 1/10 of the large cube, or it's 10 times less. Okay, just to let you know that the fraction 1/10 is like dividing it by 10. Okay, so when you go this way, you're multiplying it times 10. When you're going that way, you're dividing it by 10, or it becomes 1/10. Okay, so here is the flat and the large cube. So from here to here is 1/10. Now look at the long and compare it to the flat. From here to here, from the flat to the 10 is 1/10. The flat is 10 times the long, and the long is 1/10 of the flat because you're dividing it by 10. Okay. Now look at the small cube and compare it to the long. Now this long is 10 times the small cube. Well, now this cube is 1/10 of the long. Okay. Look at the next page. Here's what we talked about. You can use your understanding of place value patterns and place value chart to write numbers that are 10 times as much as or 1/10 of any given number. Okay, so look right here. This is 300. Okay, right there, 300. Well, whenever you do it here, what's 1/10 of that? They want to know what is 1/10 of this. So that would be the 30. And this would be 3,000. So blank is 10 times as much as 300. So it would be 10 times as much. 3,000 would be 10 times as much as 300. And 30 is 1/10 of 300. Okay, look at this. Use the steps below to complete the table. Write the given number in a place value chart. Okay, use the place value chart to write a number that is 10 times as much as a given number. Use that place value chart to write a number that is 1/10 of a given number. So here's the number that they give us, okay? So the 10. What number is 10 times as much as 10? Okay? So 10 times as 10 is 100. Well, 1/10 of 10 is 1. Same here. 10 times as much as is 700. And 1/10 of 70 is 7. 10 times as much as 9,000 would be 90,000. And guys, let me just go ahead and tell you now that any number times 10, you just add a 0 at the back of it, okay? And then the same thing when you're dividing it by 10, you take away a 0. So here you would take away a 0 and you get 900. Now complete the sentence down here. 500 is 10 times as much as what? So if you look at the over here, when we use the 10 times as much, that means that this is the bigger number. Okay, so 500 is 10 times as, what is it? Let's pause and think about it, okay? Okay, did you think about it? Okay, it is 50. Now, 20,000 is 1/10 of what? Okay, 20,000 is 1/10 of what? Now I'm going to give you some, I'm going to pause it and give you some time. Okay, that's 200,000. Okay, because 20,000 is 1/10 of 200,000. It's a smaller number. Okay, look here again. Here's a 50. 10 times as much as 50 is 500. And 1/10 of 50 is 5. 3,000 is the number they give us. 10 times as much as 3,000 is 30,000. And 1/10 of 3,000 is 300. Remember here, when it's 10 times as much, they add a 0. And when it's 1/10 of that number, you take away a 0. Okay, now look here. 400, 10 times as much would be 1, 2, 3, 4,000. And 1/10 of that, take away a 0, would be 40. The 900 here, and 1/10 of 90 would be 9. Okay, look at the next one. 200 is blank times as much as 2. So now they didn't just take away 1 0, they took away 2 zeros. So if I take away 2 zeros, they didn't just divide it by 10, they divided it by 100. So that means that it's 100 times as much as the 2. Because if you multiply 2 times 100, you get 200. Here, we're doing 4,000 is blank times as much as 4. So here we have the 4. What did they multiply the 4 by to get to 4,000? That's 1,000. Here, 700,000 is blank times as much as 700. So here they added 1, 2, 3 zeros. So that's 1,000 because it has 1, 2, 3 zeros. And here, 600 is blank times as much as 6. To that 6, they added 1, 2 zeros to get to 600. So if you have 2 zeros, that's 100 because it has 2 zeros. Well, now that we've worked on the first and second page, now it's time for you to work on the page yourself, okay, for practice. All right. See you later.